Now, on Friday, Germany decided that Isaac should represent their country at the 2024 edition of the Eurovision Song Contest. After winning both the international jury vote as well as the televote, Isaac was crowned the winner of the show. And he will fly the flag for Germany in Malmö later this year. He will be bringing us the song Always on the Run, which is what Gabe always does from people who like Lorene's songs. Since Germany is a Big Five member, they will not be in the semifinals, but he will be performing in the grand final immediately. Oh, great! What do you think of the show in Germany?
Deutschland, was habt ihr gemacht?
Okay,
Was habt ihr gemacht? Ich bin total enttäuscht. I'm really disappointed. I'm upset. I am sad. And other words that are synonyms with those words. I am those as well. Firstly, I'm taking a deep breath. I'm not going to rant. I'm very calm.
You said you were going to be kind this season, and you said you were going to last for 2 to 3 weeks. I already thought it was a stretch. So take a breath.
And I've made it maybe an hour. Well, firstly, the voting format was fine last year, where the televote and the jury vote power wasn't converted into a 12-1. That's the first thing. Secondly, you had a top 5 potential ballad in this selection in Oh Boy by Rick, and both the public and the juries totally rejected it.
Yep.
Now, don't get me wrong. Isaac's song was the second best of the selection. It's a decent song, and I've actually listened to it a couple of times since, and I've enjoyed it. But what a total mess. Choosing a good song, which is fine, but middle of the road, inoffensive, and not going to get Germany anywhere. You know, you can't just keep picking the radiotauglich songs and just hoping that everything works out. When you had something which had the potential to be so special, and you threw it away. Like, honestly, I tweeted Germany go internal, and people were tweeting back to me saying, oh, but then the last time they did that, they selected Gendrick. That was terrible as well. Yes, but the end result will be the same. If Germany goes internal, it just saves us the time of getting hopeful, watching the national final, being like, wow, they're finally onto something good, and then them doing the same thing they do every year by shooting themselves in the foot. This has happened before. Think about 2019 with Sisters winning over Lily Among Clouds. This is what Germany does. This is what they do. And I mean, I don't know what are we meant to do? Where do you start? You try, because I'm out of words.
Let's be fair to Isaac. He is an incredible performer. Like, he sang very, very well, and like, he just performed his song to the fullest. And for him, it's obviously a very good opportunity to go to Eurovision, and it's a good showcase of his talent. Now, this song is very much, hey, I just participated in X Factor. Maybe I won, or maybe I just barely didn't win or something. This is my song. And I think when you're going to be watching Eurovision this year in the grand final, when Germany will inevitably be like third or something, you'll be sitting there
in the running order, not in the final.
Yeah, no, sorry. I mean in the running order. You'll be sitting there like, oh, that was fine. And then the next song comes on and you're like, oh yeah, okay, yeah. You immediately forget about it. And that's kind of the issue with a song like that. You have a song that is objectively decent. Like, it's pretty good, but it just doesn't really lighten anything in you, really. And there will be people who enjoy it, and I think many people don't mind it. But would you pick up your phone for a song that is very inoffensive and very just kind of run of the mill? I don't think so. I think that is maybe what would have been different. I will say I was a little disappointed with Rook's live performance. I think it was still the best decision, because you can easily work on that and easily do a better staging. And that song had a lot of potential. I'm not sure top 5, but especially with the juries then being a bit more powerful, it would have done really well regardless. And it's really what Germany wants. They really need to do well again, because what will happen next year if they end up in the bottom 5 again? What will they say? What will they blame? They can't say, well, we sent a metal song that nobody cared for. Now you send a pop song that nobody cared for. So what's the excuse next time? It will still need to happen, of course, but
I think what you're saying about the song is really pertinent as well, because if you want to see, this kind of style of music can be impactful, it can be strong. If you want to see an example of that, I'd really encourage everyone to go and listen to Castles by Freya Ridings, a song just in this style, admittedly female lead rather than male lead, but a song that is powerful, that would stand out, that has so much more about it in this style. This song just it's like that with all the power gone. It is elevated by the fact that Isaac has such a good voice, but the ceiling for this kind of thing is so low. It just, and then I feel like Germany is stuck in one of these death spirals, a bit like, although Ireland have kind of broken out of it this year by doing something really, really different, and credit to them for doing that. A death spiral like Ireland, a bit like the UK, until very recently. And once you get stuck in that cycle of negativity, it can be really hard to break. So I do worry that we're going to see this for a bit longer from Germany. The formula has not really changed now for years and years and years. The one time it did with Lord of the Lost, the result may not have showed it. That was a step in the right direction, because without Cha Cha Cha, it would have done a lot better. Now they've gone back on that, and they've deliberately restricted they've taken more control. The changes that they've made, it's like I was saying before. What I was saying before about broadcaster control is really important here. What they've done is essentially pull power back from the public to the jury. Sorry, I'm going off a tangent here, but I do actually want to explain, because I've been wanting to explain for ages about how not all 50-50 splits are made equally. Last year, the public, in effect, had more power than the jury. The reason for that is the most points you could get from the jury would have been, I'm just doing some maths in my head, a quarter of the total points. Mm-hmm. Because you get 12 out of, or roughly a quarter, because you can get 12. No, slightly less than it. The point is, the jury gave out about 58 points. Each juror can give 58 points out, roughly. They only give 12 to one song. So you have a limit to the maximum proportion that you can get from the jury. The public vote was uncapped. Lord of the Lost did so well because they got like 40, 45, whatever % with the public vote, which meant they got way more points than anyone could have got with the jury. So that is a 50-50 system where the public effectively has more power. This 12 and 12 system, where the public votes second, essentially means the jury can guarantee that one of 2 or 3 songs wins.
It doesn't matter because you won both the juries and a televote.
Yeah, well, yes, in this case, you are right. But my point is that it's a clear sign that the broadcaster has looked at last year and gone, oh, we want a bit more control over this.
Okay, in that way. Yeah.
Now, did they agree? Yes, the public and the juries are in this together this year, and they've all brought the 26th place on themselves. I'm just saying it shows that the broadcaster is thinking about this in the wrong way. And it's a real shame.
I think somebody pointed it out. They need to have one big artist that steps up to the plate and be like, "Yo, guys, okay, we've been going on for way too long. Let me try it. Let me do it." And then, boom, maybe they'll have a magnus opus and have a good result. They could have had Electric Callboy by this time, but I don't think they'll ever do it again because they're a lot bigger now. Yeah. Either way, are there any questions about Germany? Alexander Bagels asked, who do we think would have done better with televote if Kärja wasn't in the 2023 final? Voyager or Lord of the Lost?
I think we'll agree.
I think so too.
Do you want to take this? Do you want to go first or should I?
Well, I mean, the semi-final results kind of show that Australia would have done really well if Kärja wasn't there, because it won the semi-final, and then Kärja showed up to grab a bunch of the points, and then it didn't do too well in the televote. So I think Australia would have done better than Lord of the Lost. Whether that's right or not, I mean, the Voyager song was just a bit more catered to pop music as well, rather than just the metalheads, but maybe I'll go on a bit of a tantrum now. It's just ridiculous that like the best vocalist that was last year was the lead singer of Lord of the Lost. But just because it is in a different genre, which is metal, he is incredible. Like I was at his concert as well, or at their concert as well. his vocals are out of this world. This man has technique and such a rich and great voice. Like every take was so good, but all of those juries are so based on radio and they don't care about other genres, which is so unfortunate because he was incredible. Like that is one of the best metal vocals you probably ever get at Eurovision, and it got paid dust for nothing, just because the juries are very much based on radio and a lot less on metal kind of genres, I guess. Um, yeah, that's kind of my take on that, I guess. What do you have to add?
Well, I think you're completely right. I think, you know, many people have accused me of jury bashing. They're right. And the juries deserve it because they need to broaden their horizons a little bit. And now I'm not saying that they should be giving Lord of the Lost and Carrier and all this 350 points or whatever.
No.
But like, I would like to see the horizons broadened a little bit. You know, I was looking really, I think it wasn't just Loreen last year. I was looking at all these 12s coming in for Noah Carell, and I was sort of going, really? Like, it didn't really make, I was looking at the result and sort of going, this doesn't make all that much sense to me. Like, there were songs getting neglected and songs doing well, which was surprising me. Now, don't get me wrong, they did get some things right. For example, Alika's vocal from Estonia was incredible and really deserved recognition. The juries gave her that. But I would just like to see a little more open-mindedness. Now, I get people can make the argument to counter that Carrier still did get 150 points from the jury. Okay, fine. Why did Lord of the Lost get hardly any? Why did Blanca Paloma not do better? I'm sorry. Incredible vocal, incredible performance. You know, really deeply captivating staging. I had that down for top 3, and I thought even though she still did quite well with the juries, I think she deserved so much more. And so it did disappoint me how they went last year. And I hope that similarly adventurous and brave performances this year will be rewarded.
Yeah, I hope so too. I hope they make a little bit of a change here and there. I see a few people asking, where is Matt? We addressed it at the start of the live stream, but if you weren't there, I want to briefly explain that Matt has not been doing the best health-wise recently, and that's why he's kind of been absent this entire season so far. He's doing better, but he has kindly asked us to fill in to do a live stream here and there on his behalf in a way. He's doing a lot better, but he's still not healthy enough to really give his all for this season, really, with videos and live streams. So you'll probably hear from him at some point, but as of right now, we all just wish him the best, and you'll have to do with us, I guess. I hope that's good. There is one more question for us from Eurofan SF. Do you think Big Five countries suffer by having little exposure in the semis? Should they fully perform the Big Five entries as the interval act in the semis as well, so they can gain traction earlier?
No. And the reason I say no, I think there's an argument to be made here, but personally, I think if you can see that the Big Five is still very capable of doing very well. Look at Spain and the UK in 2022. Obviously, Italy won in 2021. Germany did very well in 2018, if you remember. That's another example. Italy does well every year. In fact, if anything, Italy is the best example of this. If you send quality, you do well.
Yeah.
Most people voting in the final do not watch the semi-final performances. Any of them. The semi-finals get way less viewers. Oops. Hit my microphone again. I do that all the time when I'm filming my own videos. Jay has to edit out me going like, about 10 times video. Anyway, point is, semi-finals. Oh, my blooper reel would be massive. But the point is, there's way less viewers for the semi-finals. So in my opinion, it just doesn't make that much of a difference. What do you think?
I agree. Yeah, if you just send a quality song, it will do well regardless. And I think a lot of people in Europe are a bit biased against big five nations in general. Like if I speak to a few locals, they're like, yeah, but why are they in the grand final? And then I have to like explain, well, they pay a bit more, but they also like bring in so much more viewership, and you kind of need them in the grand final. And they're like, oh, okay, I kind of get it. But yeah, they're already a little bit against the big five usually. So I think if you give them even more preferential treatment, I think that would be a bit too much. And I think it doesn't matter, like you said, Maced. Why did I go Dutch there for a moment? Most people won't even be watching the semifinals anyways. And yeah, it's just going to be the grand final. And I think if you have a good song, it will do well. It will do well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
War. Damn, I'm going very well with my English today. There is another question about Germany. Yaku Mata asks, do you think broadcaster change could be possible with us? NDR clearly isn't interested. Look at the start time of the national final. I think they had already announced that, right? That next year a different broadcaster was taking over from NDR, if I remember correctly. But correct me if I'm wrong.
I think so. It might help to just quickly explain here. So the thing is here is essentially it is a regional broadcaster in Germany that takes on responsibility for Eurovision. Each state in Germany has its own broadcaster. NDR is the one that is in control at the moment. And someone else in the chat points out that it's the national broadcaster, ARD, that makes the decision. Yes, because I think Germany is, of all the countries in the contest, the one that most clearly needs fresh eyes on it as a project is Germany. So I think we could use a change. But the thing is that change for change's sake isn't necessarily a good thing. We need to have the right team behind it. What's more important than the broadcaster is ensuring you have integration with the music industry, that you have the creative industries on board, that you're building relationships with record labels and artists, that you're making the national experience worthwhile for those artists. You shouldn't be thinking about what opportunity are we offering the winner. You should be thinking about what opportunity are we offering the artist that comes sixth.
Yeah.
Again, I always go back to Finland because I think this is a good example of it. Last year, Kumar, who came fifth in the national final, that song, Ulla Voimainen, one of the biggest hits in Finland of the year. They just won a bunch of awards at the Finnish equivalent of the Grammys last night. That's the kind of thing you need to look at. You need to make it so that doing badly in one of these shows is an attractive proposition. That's the missing piece for national finals. If you can do that, you don't need to worry about the Eurovision results because they will follow.
I think with Finland as well is that they already showed that they care so much for their acts by just the music videos. Like they get all of those songs submitted and then they're like, oh, these 7 are cool. Now we're gonna work with them and do a really cool music video because all of them look so incredible and there's a lot of effort and money put into them. And so if an artist sees, yo, they invest a lot of time and a lot of effort into me, then I am more motivated to send better songs, to just send a song in general. Because sometimes artists don't even send their best songs to Eurovision or national finals because they're like, yeah, why would I send my best song to this selection when my other songs, I should probably use them for my own releases.
And we talked about we've been a bit mean about like pop and radio friendliness and so on. Those are really important things. And also with Finland, it's pertinent because essentially the broadcaster took a very sober look at what they were doing in Eurovision and went, we're not very good at this. We need to get some people in who understand modern pop music. So where did they go? Yle X, which is like the sort of music division essentially of Yle. They handed it over to people who understand how to, like, what does well on the radio, who are making these decisions every single day about what they play and what they don't. But also, crucially, that meant handing it over to people who had those connections. The UK sort of took a similar good step by getting tap music involved. And that was how you ended up with Sam Ryder.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to build those connections from scratch. You can approach somebody with those connections and say, we know you know how to make this thing work. We know you know the music business. Help us put together this show. We'll finance it. We'll make sure it's got sufficient oomph behind it, and you just have to look at the way that can develop into something really special. There's no reason why 10, 15, 20 countries in Eurovision can't do this. And there's other places where it could potentially happen, but Germany is the one in most dire need of doing something differently, because right now it's not working at all.
No, I completely agree. I think it is time to move on to the next country, though. I think most people are now more talking about Finland rather than Germany.
Sorry,
So,
I always do this. My fault.